Tästä Metro.
Hyvääpä iltaa ja tervetuloa seuraamaan Junasimulaattoristriimiä, jossa meillä on amerikkalainen vieras, joten tästä eteenpäin striimi on englanniksi. Sorry, not sorry. But today we are in English because we have an American guest. Introduce yourself, American mystery guest.
Hello, I'm Ariel.
And hello Ohto, hello Alia. Can you see the chat?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ah,
I have it pulled up.
good. So yeah, this is the train that we're taking, and I bought this DLC just for you because we are running a local Chicago service.
I was wondering. I was like, that looks like the Metro.
Yes.
So I can see that they took the logo out.
Yeah, I saw some discussion where people were like, "Can I mod in the logos?" But they were like, "Nah, you can't." So, but yes, this is Amtrak. I've decided that for some reason you need to pronounce Amtrak as Amtrak.
Wait, I thought you just said it was Metro. Because that's not an Amtrak train.
It's not? Oh, okay.
No, that's Metro. That's the Chicago Metro line.
Okay, I thought that Metro was part of the Amtrak network, but
No.
Okay.
No,
Good
it's a
to
separate
know.
thing.
Hello, Veke.
Amtrak is its own separate thing, and Amtrak is just Amtrak. Then there's Metra, which I'm pretty sure is just its own separate thing, and then there's the Chicago Transit System, which is just its own separate thing for Chicago.
Okay.
Because everything is separate in the US. Nothing connects.
Hello, Veke45, and good evening, Mio Huck. Okay. We are already desperately late, so let's get going. This is what the train looks like from the inside because, Murican isn't very up to date on their trains.
This is outdated.
This is very outdated.
Oh, geez, how outdated?
Well, we ran these kinds of trains in like late 60s, maybe?
Holy shit, that outdated? I mean, I know they did recently have an update, but I don't know how updated it is, and it might just be the train cars. I don't know if... Yeah, I don't know. Also, I don't know if it's Metro. It might just be the... I almost said MCTS. I meant DPS.
But essentially, there's essentially no diesel train services anymore in Europe. Well, maybe in Eastern Europe, but like Western Europe, we don't do diesel power, especially for like passenger services.
Is it electric?
Yeah, everything's electrified. So yeah, this is exciting. I bought this DLC, well, because it was an excuse to buy DLC for Train Simulator, but also because now that you're on the stream and I saw that they actually have a Chicago train available, I was like, you can tell about these trains that you've actually ridden on.
Yes, I actually took Metro quite a lot because it was how I got to Chicago, between Chicago and where I lived in the middle of nowhere, Illinois. And also I used it to get to my community college because since the American transit system sucks so badly, if you're not basically in the city of Chicago, it sucks. So by car, my community college was only a 16-minute drive or so, but I didn't have a car at the time, so I had to do a 2-hour commute to get to the community college. I basically had to walk half an hour to the train station, take the Metro for like 10 minutes, then get off and then take the bus, the Pace bus, which is like a suburban bus line, to get to the college. And the line, the bus, for example, certain lines ran every hour or two, every 2 hours, and they didn't run on weekends. Some lines only ran in the morning or afternoon. After a while, I found out that I could take a bus to the train station, but it was like a very early morning bus. And if I missed it, I was basically screwed because I think there was only one or two. It only came by once or twice, and once, yeah, it was like ridiculous to get there.
After this train is, well, it's diesel hybrid, but yeah, it is a diesel train. I actually was listening to you so intently that I kind of forgot that we're supposed to stop on this station.
Oops.
So let's see how. Actually, we might be good. Yeah, we kind of made it. It wasn't a pleasant ride, but we didn't overrun. So, yay!
Just ask, is the surroundings also Chicago, or is it just random? Or not Chicago, but, surrounding area.
Well, you tell me. Does this looks like the suburbs of Chicago?
It actually does, which is why I asked.
Yeah. This is the Chicago local service.
Okay, cool.
We just stopped at Westmont.
Oh, wow. Okay. That definitely rings a bell. I'm not the best with names of places, even though I lived in Chicago. Well, to be fair, I only lived in Chicago till about the start of 5th grade, where we then moved to middle of nowhere. So, and even though I went to Chicago every weekend and then every other weekend for a bit because my parents were divorced, I didn't exactly have a reason to memorize names and stuff because I wasn't driving or anything or taking public transit because my parents and family drove everywhere. So.
Yeah.
Because, that's the American way. Drive everywhere.
Yeah, that's why the trains are so bad. So,
yeah.
Do you want to tell us...
public transit's bad.
Do you want to tell us why the trains in the States are bad?
Lack of funding, lack of support, because everyone thinks that cars are the end-all be-all, and everything should accommodate cars. And people hate trains because they block the flow of traffic because, how dare you traffic stop for trains to pass by? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And also, just people find public transit unnecessary, I guess. For example, so many people, even friends who use public transit and don't own cars like me, hate, for example, the local tram. And think it's ridiculous and stuff, or you saw the whole debate on Facebook.
Yeah, I saw parts of it. Yeah, there's they built a tram in Milwaukee, and everybody's upset because how dare they make convenient transit for people? Yeah,
there is legitimate complaints and concerns, but the way people are going about it is I don't think the right way, because they're basically making it so that if this fails, which it probably will just because of the lack of support and people being like, this is stupid, it'll go under, and if it goes under, people will be like, see, this is why you shouldn't do these things, and public transit sucks, you just drain our resources and stuff. And people are like, but what about tax dollars? I don't want to pay for this. And it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh, and then of course people saying that it's racist because it is only downtown currently.
So,
even though, Milwaukee definitely has a race segregation issue. I totally agree there, but it makes the most sense to set it up in the downtown so you have places to branch off of. If they just did a branch first, it would not make sense.
So we stopped here because this route makes us turn the train around. We were going westwards, but now I'm gonna push a button, and now we're in the cab driver's seat, and we are gonna go eastwards. So yeah, I actually looked in. Sorry.
Sorry. Will this train go to downtown Chicago, or is it just?
Yes, we're going to Chicago Union Station.
Cool.
So
I've been there quite a bit.
The next stop is Fairview.
This has to be a line I was on because these stops definitely sound familiar.
Yeah.
Do you remember what line it said it was? The route you're taking?
It didn't include that information.
Oh, okay. To be fair, I don't even think I can remember off the top of my head. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
It's been a bit since I've taken the Metro since I moved to Milwaukee, and I moved to Milwaukee. Geez, I think it was 2013, so it's been quite a few years now.
Yeah, it has.
It's been 7 years. Holy cow.
So I actually looked into why trains are so bad in the States. And
oh yeah, we watched a video together, didn't we, that one time?
Yeah, but
it was very depressing.
I looked into a bunch of other explanations as well, and it's a very interesting and historically complicated, interlocking set of issues that have a lot to do with like the stream preview for me looks extremely choppy. Is it extremely choppy for all of you watching? Because that looks horrible. But it could be just the preview thing.
I have it paused because I figured 2 streams running at once.
Yeah, you don't need that. Okay, we are now operating as we're operating as train 1, 2, 3, 4. Next stop is.
I was gonna say I did notice it's a little choppy in the preview, but I thought it was just the preview.
Or yeah, it could be just a preview. A lot of it has to do with it's choppier than usual. Damn. Let me try and fix that somehow.
If it helps, you could turn off the Discord thing for me and I can just deal with some delay.
Nah, it shouldn't be that.
Yeah. I hate how I basically have to buy. I just have to buy a car if I want to live here, unless if I move back to Chicago, which I don't want to do for family reasons. And I don't want to move to New York City because no.
Okay, it's better now. Good. So yeah, one of the big reasons is a different attitude towards land ownership, which is basically different in the United States as opposed to any other place where all of the land basically is owned privately. And people don't have any rights. The
government's allowed to take over it, though.
Yeah, but you need to have a very, very, very heavy reason for it. And they
do it all the time for highways. They can certainly do it for rail.
Yeah, but that's another thing. It's the political will is not there for the rail. So that's one issue, because in the States, and that might be new to some people watching this, is that in the States you're not allowed to just wander in the woods because somebody owns the woods, and that's different.
Well, you can if it's a forest park, but even then, you can't like do it when it's closed.
Yeah, as opposed to in here. It's you can regardless. We have what's called general rights towards land.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I remember you were shocked when I told you that people could get in trouble for stealing fruit off of people's fruit trees.
Yeah.
Even if it lands in their yard, in their backyard, because a tree overhangs. I think I can't remember actually. I maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe if once it lands in the yard, it's okay. But I recalled it being like a famous, like legal question for like people learning business or people learning law and stuff. Like if a neighbor's apple tree hangs over a fence and their fruit lands in your yard, are you allowed to eat the fruit? And if I were remembering right, the answer is no. That's technically stealing.
Yeah.
But I might be wrong.
But a lot of it is just what you guys have, which is essentially legalized. Wait, blanking out on a word. Legalized bribery, which is the lobbying system where special interest groups can give directly towards politicians. And guess who have very deep pockets?
Oh yeah.
They are the oil industry and the airline industry and people like that. But it's not just that. There's also one massive difference in it, and it has to do with even when you've built the railway. Like, for example, this rail which we are simulating running on right now. There is a major difference between this set of rails and the set of rails essentially anywhere on Earth.
Oh yeah, because it's owned privately.
It's owned privately. And
yeah, that's one major problem with the train. Oh, sorry, I'm interrupting you.
No, go ahead.
I remember that's from the video we watched together that that's one major problem with the American train system is that most of the rails are privately owned, and that Amtrak and Metro and stuff have to move over to the side for the people who own the train tracks to pass, which is like crap, my mind's going brain. Frick. Not sorry. It's freight. That's what I was trying to think of. Freight. It's so that makes people unhappy because it causes a lot of delays and stuff when there's nothing they can do about it.
Yeah, and the people who organize the traffic always give priority to their own traffic. And another big difference is that the States has huge amounts of cargo going via the train.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, this station was Clarendon Hills. Or
Clareton.
Clarendon Hills, okay.
This is definitely a line I've been on. I meant to mention it earlier, but those Westmont towers I definitely remember seeing, because that Westmont, I think it might have actually been the stop I got off on to take the bus to my community college.
So how was the ride experience?
It was good.
Okay. So the actual sitting on the train is not bad.
Yeah.
Even though it's
sitting on the train's not bad.
Even though it's running on a train that we've scrapped like 50 years ago.
I think your trains are smoother though, because if I recall, I think I was able to draw or could draw if I wanted to on your trains.
Yeah.
Whether that's every time I try to draw on these trains, yeah, it's a little too shaky for that. I mean, it's not like a bumpy ride or anything, but it's noticeable when I'm trying to draw. It's like trying to draw on a car.
Yeah.
You can, it just isn't good.
That probably has a lot to do with the age of the equipment, because suspension does not last forever.
Oh yeah. Our trains are old.
Yeah, as we could see in this simulation, this is very much 1960s technology.
Yeah, when I was taking your trains and when I was visiting Finland, it was almost like I mean, I don't want to say stepping in the future because it wasn't futuristic, but it was like it was weird seeing how updated and modern everything was, because it was like I mean, going on Amtrak, for example, between Milwaukee and Chicago, it's like stepping into an old plain with how the cabins or whatever you call them look.
Yeah.
Because it's old carpeting. It's just everything is old. Like it looks, and it's probably from the 80s.
This stop is Hinsdale.
Yeah, Hinsdale. I definitely remember too.
It's actually fun to do this with a person who's sat on the actual train. Is there a road right in the middle of the platform?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Is that not normal?
No, that's not safe. Wow, that's freaky.
I made it. Wow. Okay. I mean, roads have priority here, except when a train is blocking it or going through, obviously.
But even if the roads have priority, wouldn't it be wiser to like move the train platform like 200 yards to the side so that you wouldn't have to split it with the road?
I honestly have no idea. Actually, this sounds familiar too, because I remember. Then again, I think most of these train stops have a road either right by or cutting through it, because I remember one of the stop that I would get on and off at to go to the community college or come back from. I remember, when waiting and stuff, I'd be like, oh man, I bet the people are mad waiting for this train, because, the road would have to, obviously be blocked while people are getting on and off. I'm trying to remember if it was Westmont or Hinsdale, though, because Hinsdale also sounds familiar. But I could have done both, because if I recall, I think I had 2 different stops I could have taken, and I was like debating which one was better, because it was like basically one bus. Or actually, no, I probably did both, because I had to take 2 different buses based on times, or I don't know. It's been so long, I can't remember all the details. I just remember the time of the commute, which was 2 hours, and it sucked. I had to get up at like 4 a.m. to get to my 8 a.m. class.
Next stop, Highlands.
I recall Highland being a rich-looking area. I might be mistaken.
I'm really sorry about the choppiness of the stream. It seems that there's nothing I can do about it, and it's making me sad. This platform is way too short for this train. That is not optimal planning.
That's very common. That's very common too. Is
it?
I remember I think this is the stop that they always had to announce that if you wanted to get off here, you had to go to the back few cars, I think it was, or the front few cars, because you wouldn't be able to get off.
For crying out loud!
And I think this was the only stop that I remember that for. But yeah, that happens too. I guess that's not normal for you guys either.
No, that's not safe. But yeah, basically in all of Europe, the tracks are owned by the government, and the commuter trains take priority, or the passenger services take priority, and freight leases the tracks for their services. Now, there are actually legitimate reasons why that is, or why you guys have it the other way around, which is that you guys are spread out far more widely.
Oh yeah.
And running,
which is a thing a lot. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Which is something a lot of Europeans do not understand, even more than I knew, because I hear all the time of Europeans coming to the U.S. being like, going to like New York City and being like, "Oh, we're gonna drive down to Disney World today," and people being like,
no.
You can't do that, right? It's not a day trip.
Well, you can, but it's gonna take you a while.
Yeah, well, yes, it's not a day trip, because they were like being like, how, we'll be back tonight. How long is the drive? And I've heard, and I've read this kind of story more than once, being told like from different people. So it's like, it's ridiculous how common it apparently is. And I mean, that's actually something I do like about it. About when I, yeah, what is it Alia? Alia
Yeah.
said in USA, 100 years is a long time. In Europe, 100 miles is a long distance.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. 100 years is a long time here. I mean, that's why we always celebrate every 100. Well, I mean, most places do, but like 100 years is seen as a really big deal here.
Yeah.
Even 50 years. And 100 miles is still like a big distance, but like every week when my parents they're still divorced, but when I was visiting my dad every weekend or every other weekend and stuff for visitation, it was like a 40 to 50 mile drive between where we lived in Chicago, so we would do that every week. It wasn't a big deal for us. Like it was like an hour trip in the car or whatever. Well, no, not an hour, 40 minutes. Like people do that every single day to get to and from work. There are a lot of people who work in Chicago who live, say, in our suburb even. Like, it's just common. Like, people see that as no big deal for commutes or whatever. Nevertheless, I would assume for you guys that would be ridiculous to commute that distance for work every single day.
It's not unheard of, but yeah, it's not something that people usually go for. By the way, that stop was called Western Springs.
Yeah, this is all very familiar. So this is, I mean, obviously, but it's just kind of funny because it's funny you happened, out of all the ones you picked, you happened to pick the one that well, you probably knew because I'm pretty sure this one goes to Aurora, which is the stop.
This is the only Chicago area DLC that's available for the Sim. So.
Oh, okay. I thought there were many options. Sorry. Hi, I'm Ariel. Someone asked, "Who's your guest?"
Yes, Ariel is a real life bona fide American person.
Sadly.
And hello, Zetex.
Yes, hello. Yes, born and raised up until a year, 2 years ago. I've never even left the USA. So far, I've been to and only well, technically, I went to Iceland, but sadly only for layover. But I've only been to Finland so far. But hopefully, if the next trip still happens, I'll be going to Tallinn, right?
Yep.
So
that's Estonia. This next stop is Stone Avenue.
What avenue?
Stone.
Stone.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound familiar. I wonder if this is like the Brookfield Zoo stop, because they would focus on the Brookfield Zoo more than the stop name. That's the only explanation I can think of as to why that doesn't ring a bell at all. But it doesn't look like it. Not that I really remember much. It's funny how familiar but not familiar because it's been so long. But it all I don't know. It looks familiar and also not at the same time.
Well, it is a simulator, not Google Street View.
That too. That's true.
But you can see the next stop. This is also
they obviously shortened it.
Oh, that could be.
They shortened it big time because like I think it okay, it's been more than 5 minutes, but like I can definitely tell the stops are a lot shorter.
Okay.
Between, like, for example, between
they're not supposed to be, but I guess they've cheated a bit.
Maybe they aren't, and it just seems like it's faster because I'm talking to someone versus sitting in the train. I just assumed that they cut it short because to have it be real life distance might be a little.
I mean, that's kind of the point with a train simulator. Next stop is Lagrange.
Okay, maybe it's not.
Next stop is Lagrange, or Lagrange, however you pronounce it.
I was only thrown off because you said that was the next stop up there, and I was like, that is unusual.
Yeah, and it's also weird that this is a huge, massive train. Usually these kinds of trains in Europe go like the very long distances very fast, and the smaller trains do these very stop and start kind of commuter.
Well, that's because it depends. Well, sometimes the trains can be really packed in the mornings and afternoons because people are going to and from work, and also, the metro doesn't exactly run like every. Well, actually, it probably is about the same for you guys. But this train, I think, only ran like. I think they only had like every hour or so.
Oh, okay, because
I'd have to look up the schedule.
a service like this usually in Finland runs every 10 minutes.
I'm looking it up. I had to mute myself real quick because my keyboard's very loud.
It doesn't matter. You don't have to.
Maps and schedules. Okay. Which was this?
Oh, and also I don't have steam trains or ÖBB Eurocity, so can't drive either of those.
Did they? Where's the? I don't see a two. Oh, here we go. BNSF Railway. I skipped that because I thought it was something else, but this was the train that I took to Aurora, and it also happened to be the train I took when I lived in Lyle. I just realized I don't have to dance around where I lived. I don't live there anymore.
Yeah.
Let me see if this schedule that I can download is a regular schedule, because there's a notice saying that the schedules have been modified, obviously, due to the current crisis.
No, Otto. The maximum speed of this train is 70 miles per hour. Which is very, very, very slow.
Which is funny because it's taking the train is faster than driving to Chicago because state traffic and.
It's 113 kilometers per hour, which even our commuter trains run at 160.
Wait, actually, is it faster? Actually, I think it's about the same time because the stops, even though it has a more direct route to Chicago, the stops made it about the same time as driving, but I don't know. All right, so yeah, this looks about right. So I'm looking at the Aurora to Chicago line, which this is the train that you're currently driving. And,
exactly.
For Chicago to Aurora, it looks like the trains run every basically hour, 6:30 a.m., 8:40, 10:40. Oh yeah, sometimes it would be more like every 2 hours. I think it was only in the early morning and rush time. It would be because in the afternoon it's like 4:30, 5:35, 5:40 when they leave, because that's when people are like really taking the train, but otherwise it's like every hour, every 2 hours.
Yeah.
And on the weekends, it's every 2 hours.
This stop is called Congress Park. And for your reference, Ariel, our commuter trains run at 160 kilometers per hour, which is pretty accurately 100 miles per hour. So.
Oh, okay. I see. Stone Avenue is also, it's a secondary name. They call it LaGrange, and then there's also LaGrange Road.
Ah, okay.
Stop.
Well, our next. No, go ahead.
I guess they're so close to each other because one is ADA accessible fully, and one is only partially.
Ah. Well, at least there's a good reason.
Stops aren't at all. I mean, I don't know if that's the only reason, because there's many stops that don't have a stop anywhere close that is not even accessible at all. It doesn't even have a circle. Here, I can, if it's okay, I can link the schedule to anyone curious in the chat.
Sure.
If I'm allowed to send links anyway.
I don't know.
Probably.
Oh,
okay.
The next stop is Union Station.
Wait, already?
Isn't it exciting?
What was the last stop?
I don't. It's not the last stop because this scenario is supposed to run in 15 minutes, and we've only done like half an hour.
No, I meant the stop you just left from. Sorry.
Oh, that was Congress Park.
I don't even. Well, okay, this must be an express because it skips over a bunch of stops.
Yeah, we're just passing. We're just passing one.
Because there are some express trains that do skip a bunch of stops towards the end, or for faster commutes for people who live, say, in Aurora or Naperville, and Lisle to get to Chicago faster in the morning.
Also, the states do not have pendolinos. The United States has one.
What's pendolinos?
Pendolino. You ran on, or were on a pendolino train while you were here last time. It's a bullet train.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't think we have any. There have been attempts to try. There might have been one built in the West Coast. Maybe.
There is one.
Like I've heard about it.
There's one high-speed rail service which very closely resembles Pendolino in the States. However, since the scheduling it's called the Amtrak. I can't remember what it is. I can check it during our next stop. But the problem is
I can look it up for you.
But even that train can't run for most of its routes. It can't run above 70 miles per hour because it has to be. It's limited by the freight traffic. And
I'm
also,
assuming it's in California. So
no, it's in the East Coast. It runs from I think New York to Washington, or something like that.
Oh, that makes sense. I'm not seeing anything immediately on their website, even though I'm on the page. Oh, I had to scroll down a bit. None of them explicitly say if they're the high-speed rail line.
It's the Acela Express. That's the only American really. It's a train capable of high speeds.
150 miles per hour.
Yeah, but it can only do it for, I think it was like 20 miles on the entire route.
Yeah. This reminds me, I need to call Amtrak because they canceled my tickets but haven't issued a refund. They were basically like, you need to call us. So I keep forgetting to call them.
But yeah, we're skipping a whole bunch of stations.
Yeah. No, I do remember this. Some routes did have that.
That one, I couldn't read what it was.
I should make a post-it note to call Amtrak because I don't want to be out the $50 or so that I may not get back.
The train that runs between Chicago and Milwaukee actually isn't that bad. The distance is very similar to going from Helsinki to Tampere, and it runs the same schedule, or you do the trip in the same time as our trains do. So in that respect, that service is not terrible, but most of the service is really bad because the trains aren't allowed to run at the speed that they are capable of.
Yeah.
And they're usually late because if a freight train is delayed, the passenger train will be delayed, so they may sit around for hours in the middle of a desert somewhere.
Yeah, I've heard about that happening. They're usually due to breakdowns because Amtrak also experiences breakdowns quite a bit.
Yeah, because they don't get any funding to maintain their stock. Oh, and another reason why the United States doesn't really do trains is that the last major infrastructure project you guys ever got was in the 1940s, and it's the interstate highway system.
Because, of course,
yeah,
the highways are the only thing that get money, and even then.
Yeah, which is partially because of the car culture in the States, but more than that is it is the cause for the car culture, because people are used to the fact that they can go via car to conveniently to everywhere.
Yep. And like, it's a part of the problem too, because sometimes if say public transit gets any money or whatever, people are like, our roads need help more than we need blah blah blah, or but then people get mad when the roads get fixed because people always complain about the constant construction that nothing ever happens on, and it's like, oh my gosh, you really can't win. You really can't win.
And Miohak points out correctly that most of Finland's rail structure is also only rated for 200 kilometers per hour, but that is in contrast to what we're doing right now, which is 70 miles per hour, which is 120 kilometers per hour, which, as I said before, is slower than what our stop and start commuter trains do.
Yeah. It's going to be really interesting when I move and I have to get used to things being,
And Alia points out that our major issue for delays in our train services is that because Finland, as for a European country, is very sparsely populated as well, it means that most of the train tracks are just single tracks. So it means that if one train... It means that if one train is delayed, that means that the train going the opposite direction can't leave before the other train clears the track. So that has a tendency to snowball the delays.
Oof.
But it happens in Finland. The train on-time record is 97%.
Holy shit.
On time. In the States, for Amtrak, their record is 96% delayed.
Okay, I was about to say, wow, that's a lot higher than I expected, but then you said the delayed part, and I was like, yes. That sounds about right.
And the reason why they're always delayed is that they don't have priority for the tracks.
Nope. Though, to be fair, I usually have like almost no delays. I'm usually almost always on time, or only a couple minutes late when I take the train to Chicago. But
yeah, but that track seems to be very unusual for you guys.
Yeah, I was about to say that track is definitely unusual, and it's preferable to taking the bus. But then again, I only did it once because the one time I took a bus, we were 5 hours late.
Holy!
Or was it 3 hours late? I think it was like 3 hours late, 5 hour trip. Because
5 hour trip.
Traffic was so bad.
Holy crap! Like, if
my dad had to wait around for 3 hours for me, and he was late to work because of it, then it was just really bad.
Wow!
So I've never taken the bus again because no.
It's like it doesn't take. But how does it take 5 hours to go between
rush hour traffic?
Holy crap!
Basically stop.
I mean, again,
basically stop and go.
Distance-wise, again, it's very comparable to going from Helsinki to Tampere or the other way around, which is a good comparison. That takes about, depending on the service, it takes either slightly less than 2 hours or 1 hour and 35 minutes on the train, and it takes about 2.5 hours on the bus to take that same trip. So even your buses are really slow.
It's supposed to be about, well, again, it was I think mainly traffic. to cause for that.
Yeah.
But it was bad. So even though it was a lot cheaper, I've stuck to the train ever since then, because that was ridiculous, and I'm just no thank you. Don't want to risk it again. Rather just sit on the train and, relax.
Yeah. And trains are so comfortable.
Yeah. I prefer taking the train.
I prefer rail travel of any kind to any other kind of travel.
Same. That's one thing that I liked about Chicago, is that there's the L. I was going to say about living in Chicago, but technically I never lived in Chicago and took the public transit, because when I lived in Chicago, well, actually, I think there were a couple times, 1 or 2 times I took public transit when I lived in Chicago, but with my mom. But that was like a rare case, because my mom always had a car, so we would drive. And because I only remember like one instance of being on the L when I was like really young. Otherwise, I didn't take the L till I was an adult.
There's a Japanese PlayStation 2 game. No, wait, it was a PlayStation 3 game where you drive the L in Chicago.
Oh, cool. I like the L.
Yeah.
It's really nice. I mean, there's issues, but well, actually, I think they recently had a major update, but I haven't been on it since then. But there's issues with it, but it's a lot nicer than New York's subway system. Holy shit!
This is also another effect that we're seeing on the screen right now of the rails being run by the freight companies. Finnish passenger trains don't go to industrial areas like these.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the major.
Yeah, we passed through this area.
What?
I was gonna say, I was like, yeah, I remember we passed through this area every time.
Oh shit, that was so loud.
What?
It squeals at me if I run or speed. It makes a very loud sound if I go over. Actually, we are terminating at Union Station. Oh shit. Yeah. I spaced out on the speed restriction again.
Oops.
So.
Yeah, they always go through here really slowly.
Yeah, well, it makes sense because there's so many.
Yeah.
Many of those. What do you call those? I know what they are, but I'm blanking out on a word. Like these things.
Tracks?
Yeah, but when 2 tracks intersect like these and make... I know the word! I've played train simulators for a while now.
Cross-section?
No, they're... I'll check it later.
My mind's going blank, sorry. I'm sure I'm sure it'll be obvious when you say what it is.
Junction.
Oh. I actually forgot that's what it was called.
But yeah, you really need to run slow on the junctions or you derail, and that's not good time for anybody.
One thing I liked about taking the Metro into Union, if I was able to see it, was at some point passing through here, or just before passing through here, someone graffitied a really cool looking snowy owl down one of the underpasses, and I like looking at it, because otherwise for the most part all the graffiti was just like, whatever. But,
yeah.
That was like one actually nice piece of graffiti that I liked seeing. Don't get to see it when I take Amtrak, because we come in, I think, through a different, well, maybe not, but I'm pretty sure that owl is in a spot that you only see in that area.
Hello, Yummy Lizzie. Yummy Lizzie says that it looks like a clusterfuck.
Yeah, I just I just read that myself.
Well, that's a fairly accurate description of the American infrastructure in general.
Yeah. Or how about America as a whole, especially right now?
I'm not in a position to comment because I'm not from around.
Yeah. So hopefully you'll be able to hopefully on my end you'll be able to check it out a bit.
Yeah. When I come and visit, I definitely want to ride your crappy trains. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
And I want to take the L because I've never been on an elevated train. They don't really do those in Europe.
We'll have to be careful, but yes. I think the brown line is fairly safe. But they may have changed. I know the blue line and the green line is a line to avoid. Or at least that's what my mom says, but I think I took the green line once and was fine.
I'm pretty sure most of it is fine.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, you still have to be careful because there are a lot of instances where people get mugged or stuff.
I don't have anything to steal.
They have an emergency button you can press, but it's just for like the person driving the train, and you know, you can still get fucked over. So
yeah, we usually do the junctions a bit more elegantly than this, so you could run at least twice this speed. But you know,
I'm sure a lot of it was having to retrofit an old station.
Yeah. It's
because I think Union Station was around before the lines went commercial. Well, not were, I don't know. I know they at one point we did have a good trainway station because that's how people got from one end of the country to the other for a while. But I guess it kind of all got ripped out at some point and became all private. I don't know. I forgot the whole situation. But at one point we were leading in public in train travel, and then failed utterly.
So I get from this that the Union Station is underground.
Yes. I actually remember reading an article about people taking the Metro have to worry about breathing in a lot of carbon monoxide. And
yeah, because they're diesel trains. That's a terrible combination.
Wait, I thought diesel was safe. Oh no, it's propane. It's propane that is safer inside.
No, it's not. Don't burn propane inside. Essentially, don't burn anything inside.
What do they use for like forklifts and stuff then? Because I recall it was either diesel or propane that was what you use when you need to drive something inside, because the emissions were a lot safer.
Well,
I thought it was diesel.
Could be, but it's not safe. Safer maybe, but not safe. Anyway,
well, all I know is they run forklifts in closed warehouses, and they have to run on something.
In here, they run on electrics.
Oh, here it's either propane or diesel. I can't remember which. It may not be propane. I just thought maybe my mind went to that because
if you use natural gas, then you won't have any emissions that are emitted directly, because you have a vessel that stores the emissions.
That might be it then.
Well done! You have delivered a train load of commuters for another work day in Great Windy City.
What's funny is I know the Windy City part is about politics and whatnot, but it really is windy in general. The Midwest is very windy in general, which is something that I think surprised you, because I kept telling you the wind chill does really matter here. It can make a difference of quite a few degrees.
So we got a huge amount of penalty points because I didn't worry about being on time. The scenario ran with me being in the toilet for quite a while, so we were 5 minutes late before I even started, but that's very realistic, as we've established.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, it was really fun to have an insider look at a simulator ride like this. It's not that common. Unfortunately, they don't have any Finnish routes to take in any train simulator. But yeah, it was fun. So thank you, Ariel, for joining us on this stream. I apologize to all the viewers about the choppiness of the stream. That was a tech issue I could not solve. So my apologies about that. And yeah, bye.